A History of Violence, a drama slash crime thriller directed by David Cronenberg, starring Viggo Mortensen, Maria Bello, Ed Harris, and William Hurt. Viggo Mortensen plays Tom Stahl, a family man living in a small town and running a diner. His life is calm, ordinary, uneventful, normal, as is Tom himself. One day, two strangers come into the diner and try to rob it. There is a confrontation between them and Tom, and without spoiling too much after the event, the media takes interest in Tom as a person. He gets on the news. And that in turn gives him the attention from another place altogether. Several suspicious looking men appear in town a few days later, convinced that Tom isn't actually who he says he is. They claim that he has a violent past as a mobster from Philadelphia named Joey Cusack, and they have some unfinished business with him. So the film is this crime drama on the surface, but beyond that, I think it is also sort of a deliberation on human nature, on who we are as people, our natural tendencies, and the open question of can we drop them and become someone new, someone else? Can we change who we fundamentally are? Or is it completely impossible? This conflict is personified in the character of Tom, who is played brilliantly by Viggo Mortensen. I think he manages to do a lot without flashy acting. He relies on subtle movements and ways his character behaves to sell who he is. I also think that the supporting cast is equally great. That includes all the main players, Maria Bello, Ed Harris, and William Hurt, who, by the way, won an Oscar for just 10 minutes of screen time. The one part I didn't quite like was the child actors and the teenage son of Tom. I thought those were all lackluster, but fortunately they don't make up much of the film's runtime, so that's fine, that's acceptable. But performances aside, I think that the movie's core strength is actually the script. The story is interesting and engaging, it moves at a decent pace, and perhaps most importantly, it stays fresh and surprising throughout the film. As the movie began, about 20 minutes in, the robbery scene begins, and I was thinking to myself, okay, so I know what kind of movie this is going to be now. But then it goes in a different direction, shuffles things, and then once again I think to myself, okay, so it's actually going to be this different type of story instead, but I've kind of identified what it's going to be instead. But then it rearranges itself again, and then it does that like four or five times over over the course of the film. It stays inventive and original. One last thing I enjoyed is how Cronenberg manages to find humor in several places where we wouldn't perhaps expect them. Some of the more serious and violent and tense scenes have moments where you genuinely just laugh at something that's going on because it's so unexpectedly funny. I thought that was very lifelike, and I'm glad that the director didn't shy away from those moments. So, to wrap this all up, I enjoyed the film quite a lot, and if you enjoy gritty crime dramas, be sure to check this one out because it's definitely something different than the rest of them.